Hey guys, this is Mel, and I am back to talk about Legacies, episode 301, titled We're Not Worthy, which premiered Thursday, January 21st, 2021 on the CW. Guys, it's been so long. It's been 10 months since I last talked about a Legacies episode. Such a long wait. But I'm so happy to see us back tonight. Also, this episode was meant to be episode 217, so it's interesting to see us start off the way that we did. It kind of makes me wonder what the original 301 ending or beginning would have been, but we can't dwell on that for now though. But let's get right into it. Huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. My other video reminders are up on screen, so take a moment to remind yourselves of those. I am recording roughly 15 minutes after the episode has ended for me, so I compiled all my notes as quickly as I could, and I really want to talk about it right now. So let's get right into it, to what happened. So episode quote, or the title, as you remember, the episode titles are quotes actually said in the episode. So this episode of We're Not Worthy was actually said by Lizzie to the rest of the Super Squad. That is Josie, MG, Caleb, Jed, Wade. I don't know if it was when Alyssa was there or not. I don't know if it was when Pedro was there or not, but Lady of the Lake was there as well, though, too. But versions of the We're Not Worthy, or We Are Worthy, or like we're going to prove ourselves to be worthy, those are said a lot during this episode. But the actual quote-unquote one by Lizzie. Timeline-wise, because of the fact that both Hope is comatose and Landon is still dead, I think we're taking off the day after the events of 216, when both those things happened at the very end of the episode. So that's something there. Plus, they also... Should I mention it now? No, I'll mention it later. But the episode reminder, best one I could say is Excalibur, because it's also referencing the fact that we are not worthy. So that was something there. For the featured creature coming from Malivore, we get both, originally the Lady of the Lake first, as she's running from the Green Knight, who's trying to get Excalibur, but Lady of the Lake is supposed to be the protector of Excalibur. So she tried... Anyways, that's a storyline point right there, though. But let's get into that. So specific storylines, two different ones. We got one, rescuing Handon, or that's Hope and Landon. Second one being the Salvatore's first field day, which deals with the Malivore monsters. So with rescuing Handon, Hope and Landon, Lark and Raphael are the only ones that know about Hope's unconscious state, but the school knows about Landon being temporarily dead. But the way that MG talks at the very end about how they might have to get used to the idea of Hope not being there to always save the day, I don't know if that's in general or if it's because he did know that Hope was currently unconscious and she wasn't going to be able to come and save them like she normally does. So I don't know about that, but Lark wanted to keep it from the rest of the student body because they couldn't handle Hope being out of commission in a time where they always needed her. So anyways, we also find out that the necromancer can't return Landon to his body because Landon's spirit refuses, because until Landon gets back into his original body, the necromancer can't access the dark magic he was promised when he made that deal with Lark. So Landon is refusing to return to his body so that the necromancer doesn't get the dark magic. So it's Landon's version of his sacrifice to save his loved ones. This leads into arguments with Raphael, who could still see Landon's spirit because he was temporarily under the control of the necromancer. But after some back and forth between the two of them, Landon eventually does return to his body, and the necromancer does get full access to the dark magic. Because Lark realizes that Hope is under her own version of this spell, and she doesn't want to wake up because she somehow deep down knows that Landon is dead at that time. So Raphael used that as an argument, saying that Hope won't come back unless you come back. So you kind of have, like, if you don't do this, then she's kind of out of commission. Then what was the whole purpose of you trying to save everybody if the one person you're trying to save is kind of out of commission, kind of a thing? So that's kind of the selling point for Landon to get back in his own body. Second storyline, though, dealing with the students having their field day. It was Lark's way of getting them out of the school so he can deal with Hope and Landon situations. So MG organized this track and field type of a day in order to try to bring unity between the three factions of vampire, witch, and werewolf. You get a lot of tensions because we have the student body kind of at odds with Josie, who they last saw was Dark Josie trying to destroy the school and really try to pick them off one by one. And Josie's just kind of being remorse and trying to deal with her actions from the dark magic. But while all that's happening, first the Lady of the Lake arrives because of Excalibur, and then she warns them about the arrival of the Green Knight. And the Green Knight arrives slow motion, more slow motion the closer he gets to Excalibur. And the Lady of the Lake is trying to find the one worthy enough to get Excalibur out of the stone so they can use it to kill the Green Knight. Turns out that was Raph. He shows up at the very end after the twins, MG, Caleb, and Jed, and Wade try to defeat the Green Knight or stall him. That fails, and then Raphael shows up at the very end, and he ends up being the one to pull the sword from the stone. So there is that. Lady of the Lake leaves after bestowing the sword into Raphael's hand, saying she won't need it, she won't take it as long as he does goodbye it. So there's that. Last scene of the episode shows Alyssa about to leave the property, about to leave school with Chad, but then Chad suddenly dying, and because it's connected to them just recently being resurrected by the Necromancer, she goes back to the Necromancer and asks that Chad just died, is that going to happen to me? And the Necromancer poses the fact that you can either die like Chad, or you could be his eternal acolyte, so one of his followers. And then it ends there. I'm assuming Alyssa's going to do that. I was kind of hoping that this would be the end of her, but I guess not. So there's that. Character-wise, though, so Raphael, as mentioned, believe he's going to be counted as being a descendant of King Arthur due to him being able to wield Excalibur. I don't know if we're actually going to dive more into that bloodline connection there, but that's pretty cool. With Chad, like I said, killed by the Necromancer. He did a pretty good impression of the Necromancer in his first scene of the episode, so that was fun to see. It was like really close of an impression that I thought maybe this was the actual actor when he doesn't wear the Necromancer makeup on, but I know that it's two different actors because of that flashback episode that we got back in season 2. But it was just like, it was like so close, so it was like kind of eerily good kind of thing. With Lizzie, though, we see her stepping back in her old ways when she faces off against Alyssa, when Alyssa targets her bullying on Josie. So there's that. Josie I forgot that Josie stashed away her siphon magic. So essentially she's without magic. And she has a hard time, no one knows about it until she has to tell people at the event, and then the Green Knight appears. But then by the end of the episode, Josie decides to spend some time alone with Caroline as a way to heal, similar to what Lizzie did earlier in the series, and Lark agrees that this is some me time that Josie needs with her mom, kind of a thing. So that's something there. With Jed, we see him trying to impress Alyssa, of course. And he seemed to be supportive of Wade, too, during the whole restraining the knight with the rope situation. So that's very interesting. With Wade, we see him worrying about his buddy Landon before they got sent away on the field day. He's also the one that was handling Excalibur before the Lady of the Lake arrived. So he seemed to be calm dealing with her before, and smart about letting the rest of the students know that she has arrived. And then it was great for him just to stick around, because he could have just left and let the Super Squad deal with it, but he stuck around. So good on Wade. And then we got MG. At the end of the episode, he's nicknamed the Unifier by Lizzie after they share a moment by the fire, after figuring out, or after reminiscing over the day's events. So there's that. Tidbits. The only tidbit I could say is the fact that we got a glimpse of Limbo at the beginning, where we see Landon in I'm assuming it's the Mystic Falls Cemetery. I don't know if it's a specific one, but we see him. It's very dark out, with a white light beyond the gate, and Landon was giving off his voiceover of essentially what was meant to be his goodbye letter to Hope before the Necromancer found him. But I'm wondering if that cemetery has any connection to the fact that we always got to see the cemetery at the beginning of season 2. I specifically remember when we saw Ethan jogging through it, and then that weird zombie chasing after him. I'm not going to let that go until I see Ethan again on the show, which he's supposed to, since Leo got cast as a series regular. So I don't know why we keep bringing up the cemetery, though. But I'm wondering if it's a recurring theme for a reason, outside of it just being the Necromancer domain, So that's something there. But also it makes me wonder if this limbo was supposed to have any connection to the afterlife, because as you know, on the originals in the Vampire Diaries, they dealt with the other side, which got destroyed. Then we got to see what went on past the other side for all the characters who have died before. And I'm wondering if that's where Landon was, or if this is somewhere else that he went to. So that's something there. But let's move on to most shocking moment of the episode. I think for me, it was the fact that Landon, his choice was the reason why he wasn't waking up and he wasn't returning to his body. That was kind of surprising. But then after finding out why he didn't want to go back, it made sense. But just with the promo that I reacted to, I have a video for it. I'll put the card above. It did not read that it was his choice that he wasn't returning. So that was a surprise. Another surprise was the fact that Raphael was the one that wielded Excalibur. I definitely wasn't expecting that. And we'll talk about that a little later. So that's something there. I mean, I could kind of say that Chad's death was a surprise too. I mean, like, I kind of figured we weren't going to see him after him leaving, but then, like, him dying the way he did, that was a shock. So there's that. But let's move on to top 3 favorite moments. What I really liked was, it's a lot of speech-heavy stuff for this. It was Josie's speech about her having no magic and having to reveal that, not only to Lizzie, but to the rest of the student body, and just having, like, her moment to, like, say her piece of how, like, she knew she screwed up and she's paying the price for it now, but she doesn't need Lizzie fighting her battles for her, kind of a thing. So I understood that, and you can really feel the emotional impact. You feel the grief and the guilt from her about what she did as Dark Josie, and, like, she feels like she deserves what the student body keeps dishing out at her. So, like, I understood that, but I'm really glad it was something that all the students overheard, and it wasn't just between the two sisters, because I feel like they needed to see that regret from Josie. But then also at the same time, I'm like, what's with this student body? I mean, they know she was possessed by dark magic. So, like, she wasn't fully in her right mind. It's like, it's like they're all magical creatures. They've all done terrible things at one point. I mean, all the werewolves killed somebody, accidental or not. I'm assuming accidental, because otherwise they wouldn't be students. But, like, that's still on their conscience, and that's not held against them. And then, like even Alyssa. I mean, Lizzie brought it up that Alyssa kind of killed her parents. But, like, aside from Lizzie, no one constantly reminds Alyssa about it, right? So it's like no one holds that against her, and yet they're doing it to Josie, even though they all knew that she was possessed by dark magic, right? I'm pretty sure any other student who was possessed by dark magic would probably do the same thing as she did. Except Alyssa, I get she has a vendetta because Josie did kill her. But then, like, that's still not a reason to be a bitch. I mean, why do you have to keep digging that grave even more between the two of you? Or digging that hole, I should say. But yeah, that's a talk for another time as well. But another speech I really like was MG's speech about having faith in the Super Squad, and how, like, if you believe in yourself half as much as I believe in you, then we've got this, kind of a thing. It's a really good pep talk. He's definitely the one that can unify everybody together, and I appreciate that he got that moment. I wish his plan worked to further solidify his faith in all of them, but I love that he took leadership, and, like, he just had his moment there. I feel like if Hope's not there to be the leader, MG's ready to step in as her right-hand man or her second in command, and just do the job that she's not able to fulfill, kind of a thing. So I'm glad that MG stepped up, and I really appreciate it. Like, his speech kind of was motivating, and it was just like, yeah, you can do this, like, being inspirational, and also, like, I'm all here for that, MG. Another favorite I did like was Landon and Raphael. I mean, yes, they were disagreeing a lot of the time, but it was just great to see the dynamic between the two of them. It was great to see how they brought not only their history together before they joined the school, but also how they were bringing up. They were also talking about Hope too, about how, like, each of the decisions would affect her in the end, and, like, how would she think about your decision, kind of a thing. So it was very interesting for that. It was also very interesting to see their own take of, like, okay, it's my time to make the sacrifice, and then, or Landon's like, it's my time to make the sacrifice now for everybody, keep them safe. And then Raphael is like, no, I think it's my time. I'm the one that put you in this situation, so let me be your vessel for a brief amount of time, kind of a thing. So it's just like, it was very interesting to see them in scenes together, just because also there was a big part of season 2 where they didn't have scenes together. So I'm really glad we got back to the brotherhood between the two of them. And it was just interesting to see them play out the two different viewpoints of like wanting to say they're friends, but then also you shouldn't really sacrifice yourself. There's got to be another way, kind of a thing. So I do appreciate that. And then another favorite, you all know from other videos that I'm going to try as hard as I can to find a Hope and a Lark moment, because that's the father-daughter bonding thing I need. Because like Hope's not going to get that with Klaus, and it's just like it's just one of those things where I feel like a Lark is trying so hard to give her what she's lost, kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but here's what I found. Okay, so there is the moment when a Lark is talking to Hope's unconscious body, trying to talk to her, try to like speak to her. It's like I kind of I don't know. I've researched all the spells, but I think I know what's really happening deep down. I think you know what's really happening, and you don't want to wake up because you don't want to deal with the grief of Landon being dead. So that whole speech, and then him telling her that like we all need you. We can't do this without you, kind of a thing. So I thought it was a great moment, even though Hope was asleep. It was a great moment between the two characters to have. And also a Lark's fury at the necromancer when he asked her, what did you do to Hope? Kind of a thing. It was just like, he was like at his final, he was on the last straw of it, and he was just like, don't mess with me. Like, you double-crossed me. Give me back Hope. It was like, you took what you shouldn't have, kind of a thing. Or is like, how'd you get this one over me? I was just like, he was very protective of Hope. And it's just like, I still believe that he views her as his third daughter. Like, that's what it is. That's my headcanon. I'm going to leave it at that. But yeah. Now, top 3 peeved moments. I really did not want to have peeves, but I have them. And maybe they're just me. I don't know. But for me, I'm conflicted about this because I am a Landon and Hope shipper. But I did not like the fact that it was Landon's kiss that woke Hope up. I hope that made sense. I did not like it was the kiss. Because first off, Hope made a comment in 2:16 when she was inside Josie's mind, and how like kissing a sleeping body is not consent, kind of a thing. Like along those lines, right? And then yet Landon does it. So it's like, I'm like, what? No. Even though, like, yeah, they're together, but that's still, like, you still need consent every time, right? And Hope just said it in the previous episode when she was given, like, when the pig suggested, like, maybe you should kiss her to wake her up. And then Hope was like, consent kind of thing, even, right? Even, so it's like, I was, like, on the fence about that because, like, of that comment. But then also, I didn't like what it implied. The fact that Landon's kiss woke up Hope, kind of realigns with the Lark's assumption that Hope was keeping herself in this comatose state. Which I don't think that was the case, because Hope was, the reason why Hope never woke up was because she got turned to stone inside Josie's mind. So that was a dark magic issue. So either A, from my understanding from that assumption, was that A, in order to wake Hope back up, you have to go back into Josie's mind to undo her stoned out state. Or B, it was the dark magic being undone from the necromancer to release Hope from inside Josie's mind. Because I don't know if I'm making sense though, but like the fact that they're implying that Hope kept herself in a sleeping state because she knew deep down that Landon was dead. But I'm like, yes, I like that on like a romantic soulmate kind of a notion between the two of them as like the romantic pair. But on a magical logic sense, I don't even know how that makes sense. It doesn't make sense to me because it wasn't Hope's actions that trapped her. It was the dark magic that she was fighting against in Josie's head that left her stuck in her head. And she was in that state long before Landon got killed. So it's like, it didn't make sense to me. So that's why him kissing her is like, no, don't wake up. That's not how she should be woken up, kind of thing. So I'm left wondering if nope. I should really stop trying to compare it, because this was supposed to be 217. Left comparing if she would have stayed asleep longer if this was meant to be actually 27 and not 301. But like, Landon's kiss waking her up does not make sense to me, so that's why it's a peeve. Another thing I had an issue with was the fact that Raphael was the one that saved the day by pulling Excalibur out of the rock. He wasn't there at the field day. So like, it was really I think it's a Deus Machina. I put the description or the definition up on screen. But essentially is when like things are it's kind of like an easy, quick save when you think all is lost, and then suddenly you have the solution just pop up conveniently out of nowhere. Raph popping up the way that he did, and then pulling out the sword when all of them tried, it was just like, it's like you just conveniently popped up when they needed you most, and you conveniently pulled out the sword. It's just like, no. If you seeded it throughout the episode that he was someone the sword deemed worthy, then okay. But you didn't do any of that. Unless him sacrificing himself so that Landon could possess him was meant to be that showcase of being worthy. But then I'm like, the sword's not in the presence of seeing that. So how would it know? Unless the sword is supposed to be some all-knowing presence, and no matter where you are, the sword is just going to know whether you're worthy or not. Then, okay, maybe I can buy that. But that wasn't clear. So I'm like, it just looks to me that Raph just came in to help MG up, and then he accidentally was the one that pulled the sword out of the stone. So it made no sense to me. Because also, I kind of wanted Josie to be the one to do it, to kind of like show, because everybody thought that she wouldn't be worthy to wield Excalibur, but then I kind of wanted to show that she actually is worthy despite her actions, because by the end of the day, you gotta remember why she broke that dark magic sand clock thing, or sand hourglass thing. She did it to save her family. So she sacrificed herself to do that. She sacrificed the risk of being possessed by the dark magic. So I kind of wanted Josie to be the one to wield Excalibur, just to prove that without her magic, she is still worthy, and she doesn't have to beat herself up over the action she did as Dark Josie. So that was one. Otherwise, if it wasn't going to be Josie, I wanted it to be everyone. When Josie and Lizzie were both pulling at the sword, I was kind of hoping, if they weren't doing it together, I was kind of hoping that Caleb, MG, Wade, and Jed would also have to be pulling on the sword with them. So it's a team effort to pull the sword out of the stone. I thought it had to be something like that. Plus, it would also be a unifying thing, saying that they needed all the different factions to do it, because you had Jed as the werewolf, you had Wade as the fairy, you had Caleb and MG as the vampires, and you got Josie and Lizzie representing the witches. You have 4 different factions right there teaming up to pull the sword together, which I would have preferred, because this whole episode was them about unity. Yes, they've united to delay the Green Knight in their attempts to slow it down from getting to the stone, but I think if all of them were able to pull the sword out of the stone together, I think I would have preferred that message a little better than Raphael just coming in and pulling the sword out at the last minute, when there was no idea that he was going to come to the rescue, kind of a thing. So that was an issue I had there. I mean, it's cool that Raphael now is apparently connected to Excalibur and might have bloodlines connecting him to King Arthur, but like, the timing of it is just like, no, that seemed like you just came in to save the day, saving grace, kind of a thing, and that was just too convenient for us. So yeah, that's the reason why it's a peeve. It just seemed too convenient, and otherwise it didn't align with what the other 2 options I was willing to go with here. I also would have been pissed if Alyssa was the one that pulled out the sword, because it's like, no, in my head, you are not worthy, just from your bitchy attitude alone. So there's that. And the final peeve, if you guys have not watched my reaction to the Season 3 trailer, I mentioned the card before, but a peeve is the fact that I got robbed of the chance of Landon possessing Raphael. I got robbed of that opportunity. I thought with how it was presented in the trailer as we look, oh, this might be a storyline that ends up going on for a few episodes. And like, just because I wanted to see visually, it would be Raphael and Hope being in a relationship visually, even though context-wise it's still Landon. I just need that visual to help my Raphael and Hope part of my shipper heart. Even though I still ship Landon and Hope, like I said. But again, Hope's one of those characters where I could pretty much ship her with anybody. As long as they're on good terms, I could ship her with anybody. And I'll be okay. So it's like, I needed some more time between Hope and Landon. Not Hope and Landon. Hope and Raphael. I'm switching it again. So the fact that I was led to believe that I was going to get a possibility of that, and then I didn't, I'm a little peeved by that. So there's that. Moving on to random questions, though, very quickly. 1, why would a Lark give a student a magical artifact to use on a school trip? Because Wade just said, like, oh, Dr. Saltzman, let me use Excalibur for this. I'm like, really? A Lark would not be so, like, why would he be so nilly-willy about that? Unless he didn't think that I was actually Excalibur. But I don't think he'd be that clueless about his artifacts, given the historian that he is, you know? So there's that. And the second question, is Josie going to be missing for an episode to be with Caroline, like off-screen, like we got with Lizzie, I believe, in season 1? She was gone for an episode when she was, quote-unquote, in Europe with Caroline. Or do we get to see Caroline? Like, I hope so. But then in order for us to see, I don't know. See, I'm a little iffy when it comes to the Vampire Diaries Legacies Originals universe, because I would want to see familiar faces coming back for cameos, but then at the same time, it's like I'm risking them potentially dying on screen. And if they're living their life off screen, then at least they're still alive, as opposed to if they come on screen and I fear them dying off. That's like a 50-50 chance right there. So that's a question there. But moving on to predictions very quickly, based off the promo for 302, we get Raphael's life being in danger, and the Super Squad trying to do everything they can to save him, but he somehow takes off. So this is because we found at the very end of this episode, Alyssa's life is in danger as a newly resurrected by the Necromancer, and he gives her the ultimatum of either die like Chad did or become one of his eternal acolytes. Raphael is technically in the same situation as her, but it looks like they're going to try to find option number 3 for him so that he doesn't either die or become a Necromancer lackey. So we'll see how that goes. I just remember when the promo was airing, I was just shouting that no, Raphael is not dying. I had that fake out already. I do not need it again. I need more time with Raph. I need him to see, like, him actually. I just really want to see him spend more time with Hope. I want there to be more werewolf bonding. Because isn't he still the alpha of the pack at the school? I need more, because he had his little trip to try to find his birth parents. And, like, he got a little bit of answers there. And then he just got back to school only to die by the Necromancer's hands. Because, like, I need Raph to be just back at school dealing with normal Salvatore student issues. You know? So Raph can't die. He cannot die. Plus, also, this was meant to be episode 318. So I'm also worried if maybe not he was meant to die at the end of season 2. But then, like, it's season 3 now. So, like, maybe they might not go that route. I'm hoping. Keep Raph alive, please. I need more time with him. So there's that. But the synopsis, though, for the episode reads, the Super Squad pulls out all the stops when they learn some devastating news involving one of their own. A Lark turns to Sheriff Mack for help getting some timely affairs in order. Hope, Landon, Lizzie, MG, Raphael, Caleb, and Jed also appear. Interesting. Josie is not said to appear. I swear I thought I saw a photo, though. Let me double check. Give me one moment. I really just go to... Maybe I didn't. Oh, shit. Maybe it is the one episode. Yeah, Josie's not in it. Or Josie's not in the photos, the promotional photos. Maybe we'll see her on one side of a phone call or something. But interesting. Okay. So maybe she did go immediately off to be with Caroline. But interesting. But if we do see Sheriff Mack, I hope we get a reference to her 2 kids, Ethan and Maya, because, like, it just seemed like after Hope just stopped going to the regular high school. It's like, oh, nope, just don't include those 2 kids anymore. So, like, I need something. Like, I need something. But also, I'm wondering, what timely affairs? Is it a Lark specific? Is it student specific? Is it related to monsters somehow? I don't know. Be interesting, though. Oh, I don't know, because I don't know if I should treat this episode if it's like 302, or if I should treat it as if this was meant to be 218, so it's going to still tie into what the storylines were supposed to be focused on in season 2, or did they rearrange some things so it's kind of a mix for what was supposed to end with season 2 and then actually lead into what was starting in season 3 because of COVID. COVID just messed things up when it came to planning. But otherwise, yeah, I really don't know. I'm definitely excited to see Hope taking more of an active role in the next episode as opposed to her sleeping state in this episode. But yeah, otherwise, I have no idea. I am curious to know what you guys thought of this episode and also what you think will happen in the next upcoming episodes. So please let me know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. Link for that is down below. I reblog promos, web clips, quotes, GIFs, synopsis, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. Go check that out. I am warning you now, I probably won't update it with season 3 stuff until maybe a month from now when I'm on my reading week from school. Just because already right now, the fact that I'm able to actually take time to watch the episode and then record it and then have enough time to edit it, that's a lot of time that I'm gambling with when I could be writing my scripts for class with very fast approaching deadlines. So, like, not saying like I don't want to do these videos. I do. It's just time is of the essence right now for me at this time. So Tumblr probably won't get updated until a month from now, which would be week 6 for me. I'm currently just finishing week 2. So there's that. Same thing applies to WordPress. Anything I post online is connected to WordPress. A little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress. Again, usually I update Tumblr when I update WordPress when I update Tumblr, because usually I add more tags in Tumblr and then I gotta add it to the list on WordPress. So just a heads up there. So there is that. Otherwise, anything else to discuss? No. But yeah, otherwise, guys, in regards, the only other thing I can say is that we are I think it's 305 this season. It's meant to be the 300th episode in the whole of the TVD universe. So that's gonna be exciting. I'm wondering if they're gonna treat it as a milestone event or not, because I think that episode was originally supposed to be the season 3 premiere, which is kind of interesting when you think about milestone events specifically. So I don't know if it's going to be more fan service. I don't know if it's going to be more narrative or like how they're going to treat the 300th episode. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye out for sure. But otherwise, and also 304 is meant to be the musical episode, I believe, or is it 303? It's either 303 or 304 are meant to be the musical episode. I think it's 303 that's meant to be the musical episode, because that was meant to be 219. But yeah, anyways, there's that. But also, guys, in the meantime, before the next episode airs, you can always check out my tier ranking videos for the Vampire Diaries series and for the original series. I just posted those before the Legacy season 3 premiere. So go check those out as well. I'll put the cards for the tier ranking playlist, because both of them are found in there instead of just going to the individual Vampire Diaries and Originals playlist. Also, my other tier ranking videos you can check out as well in that other playlist in the meantime. But yeah, I'm starting to have fun with those tier rankings now that I've realized how to do screen record, which has been very handy when it comes to school. But yeah, so there's that whole spiel of it all. I'm very glad to get right into the Legacies again. It's been a long 10 months waiting to see how we're going to continue this story. So until next time, wow, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week wherever you are. Please stay safe during this pandemic. Please wear a mask and take care. Bye for now.